For thought prompt 4, I'm going to be talking about consent. I don't think that there needs to be a verbal yes for consent in all situations. I think it depends on the situation and relationship between two people, and it also depends on the context. I feel like, for example, if you have two people that are like dating, you don't need consent to. I feel like give them a kiss. Like that's obvious. Like you can use your best judgment to see, oh yeah, this makes sense. This like mutual feelings. But I feel like with somebody you've never done anything before, you should there should be a verbal yes, depending on the situation. But I feel that you do not need a verbal yes, or if there's any concern, like if you're questioning in any way what the other person is thinking, then you should ask. And then next, moving on to if a woman is tipsy and the male is fine, I think the female can give consent. I think there's a difference between being like tipsy and drunk. When you're tipsy, you're still in control of yourself and know what you are doing. So I think you are able to consent, but I think it is different if you are drunk and the female is drunk and the male is fine, that the male should not even try to pursue that, because the female is intoxicated and they don't know what they're doing at that time. And when both parties are drunk, I think it depends on the situation, but I think it is still acceptable. But I think people need to be careful about doing things when they're drunk, because they end up regretting it later when they're sober. But not to say that just because you regret something, that means it was rape, because a lot of people think a different way when they're intoxicated versus when they're sober. So I think that has a lot to go into with drunk sex or whatever. And I think when talking about is the woman ever responsible for her actions while intoxicated, yes. And I think that so is the male. They should both share 50-50 responsibility for whatever they do while intoxicated. And just because like a male may think, oh, a female is coming on to me because she might be drunk or do certain things, the man shouldn't think that, and they should ask before doing anything, and the female should be smart enough to know what she's doing as well. And moving on, who are people more likely to believe? Obviously, the woman, because we see rape happening to women like clearly in more numbers than it does happen to men, or like female to male rape rather than male to female, which is normally what happens. So obviously people tend to believe the female first. But with that being said, like a female that accuses somebody of rape, let's say, and it's not true, that's gonna tarnish the male's image, even if they are, they, in the end, are not actually responsible for that. So I think that when accusing anybody of sexual assault, we need to be careful, and we need to think and figure out what really happened and what are the facts before we call people and accuse people of names. And also to talk about the Me Too movement, I think that we've seen a couple examples of people not believing females, or females having false stories, and I think that is bringing down other women when they are trying to report what's happened to them, when we have these false accusations of people claiming sexual assault when it might not actually be true. So I think for like the Me Too movement to be successful, that we need to really make sure everything we're saying is true and we can prove that, and some like at least with some sort of evidence, so that we are not suppressing women that are trying to come out as sexual assault victims, and that we can make more progress.